Welcome to our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. My name is JC De Guzman, and these are the top 5 gainers that we will discuss tonight. We have green, FDC, FGEN, ZHI, and IMI. Now for the top 5 losers, we will be talking about RRHI, DMC, CHP, MAC, and PX. Alright, so let's begin with green. But before we talk about these stocks, by the way, I'd like to give some general piece of advice that if and when you see some dividend announcements on edge.pse.com.ph for any of these 10 stocks, this is my general piece of advice for you. Or if you will buy before the ex-dividend date, you will get or you will receive dividends for that stock. However, if you will buy on or after the ex-dividend date, those shares are no longer entitled to receive the dividend. Now, let's talk about selling. If you're going to sell before the ex-dividend date, then you will no longer receive dividends for those shares. However, if you will sell on or after the ex-dividend date, those shares will still be entitled to receive the dividends. Okay? Always remember that one because a lot of people are sometimes asking if they will receive dividends if they buy or sell before, on, or after the ex-dividend date. Now you know, okay? So let's talk about green. Green closed today at 2.36. Main resistance is at 2.90. Support is at 2.34, or we can adjust the support somewhere here actually. Support at 2.28. Okay, if it breaks down below 2.28, the next support is quite deep at 1.90 already. Okay, but let's take a look at the volume. Is today's green candlestick matched with a strong volume that is above its 10-day volume average? It's actually almost equal to its 10-day volume average. So maybe that's one of the reasons, one of the technical reasons why green managed to keep its position above the 2.28 level, the 2.28 support. If we would like to see green moving higher than where it is right now, I would prefer seeing a much bigger volume than what we see tonight or today in today's volume. Okay, perhaps it would be better to see volume that's almost equal to this volume that was registered last March 14. I think that was Thursday. But only if we would like to see green moving higher than 2.36. Because if green will not register a bigger volume than its 10-day volume average, then there's still the possibility for the price to break down below the 2.28 support level, which will pave the way to retesting the support, the previous support near 1.90. Okay, green is still at the brink of testing its previous support levels. Okay, MACD, it's obviously bearish, and it has green still has an extremely high risk level because of its volatility score of 114%. Okay, even though we saw or we got a green candlestick today, and even if this green candlestick came with a volume equal to its 10-day volume average, it does not make me change my sentiment from bearish to bullish. Actually, I remain bearish on green because of this not so sizable or not so strong volume that we saw today. Besides, it's much closer to its support. The price is much closer to the support level than to its resistance level. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review for green. It closed today at 2.36. It registered net foreign selling worth 1.3 million. Okay, given that it closed today at 2.36, the volume that got the highest, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is It's actually tough to pick a certain range because it appears that volume was spread almost in an even manner, okay, all throughout the spread of green for today. But if I were to choose, I'm going to pick the range between 2.34 and 2.36. Again, 2.34 to 2.36. That range got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today, cumulatively speaking. On the other hand, if green will start at a price lower than 2.36 within the first 15 to 30 minutes tomorrow, I would suggest that you monitor the price below 2.30 right away, below 2.30. Okay? If you don't have green, my advice is that you continue monitoring the prices movement close to 2.28 or 2.30. Okay, my bias is still on the bears side. Okay, 2.30 to 1.9. That's where my bias is on green right now. Okay, let's move on to the next stock. We have FDC. FDC or Philinvest Development Corporation closed today at 15.40. Support is at, let me plot the support here. The main support is at 12.28, but if you're going to get another support level using the Fibonacci retracements, I would put it somewhere here, somewhere near 14.16, which is in confluence with the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. Okay, that's about 14.18 or 14.16. Now, for sure, you would like to know where is the psychological resistance of Philinvest. Let's take a look at the Fibonacci extension at 161.8%. So the psychological resistance is pegged at 17.32. Okay, 17 pesos and 32 centavos. Okay, the price of FDC is already moving in a perfect bullish position both in the short-term and long-term scales. It closed today with 2.4 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. MACD has been bullish, and I think this bullish sentiment started last March 13, 2019, last week. Maybe that was around Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and FDC still has a low risk level with a historical volatility score of 38%. Okay, again, I repeat, the psychological resistance is pegged at 17.32 while the immediate support is at 14.18. Okay, it's the in confluence with the Fibonacci 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. Okay, now volume. Let me do some critiquing on the volume. Today's green candlestick is supported by a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. This combination of a green candlestick and a volume above the 10-day volume average is in favor of the bulls. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review. Remember, it closed today at 15.40, and there's an outstanding price point here that got the biggest volume, about 43% and about 51 trades. That's 15.30, 10 centavos below the closing price. And by the way, its closing price of 15.40, it's also its intraday high. Okay, so the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades here is between 15.30 to 15.40. Okay, 15.30 to 15.40. Remember that range. My overall sentiment on FDC is bullish. Okay, now if you don't have a position on FDC yet, and you like the appearance of the volume for the past 3 trading days, you can do a test buy within that range that I mentioned a while back. But make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is, because it's not impossible for the price to start going to the southward direction. especially when those who were able to position at a price lower than 14.20 would want to rake in or take some profits above the 15.40 level. Okay. Now, if you already have a position on FDC, it's either you sell once the price inch closer to the resistance near 17.32, or you just sell once your trailing stop loss has been hit. Nonetheless, my overall sentiment again on FDC is bullish. Okay, so that's it for FDC. Now let's talk about FGEN. FGEN closed today at 21.70. Immediate support is at 19.43. Immediate resistance is at 22.47. Let's make that 22.5 for an easy recall. Today's green candlestick registered somewhere near, it's about 50%, above 50% of its 10-day volume average. Not what you would want to see if you already have FGEN. What would you prefer to see, by the way, if you have FGEN? You would want to see a volume above the 10-day volume average. Okay, and because when that happens, that will add more force, that will add more strength for the bullish momentum to increase the likelihood of breaking out above 22.5. But with this kind of volume, yes, perhaps FGEN will continue to register another green candlestick, but it's not. The conviction is not as high. The bullish conviction is not as high as if we seen a volume above the 10-day volume average. Okay, so MACD, despite the registration of two green candlesticks last Friday and last last Monday and Tuesday rather, despite of these two green candlesticks, MACD is still trading below the signal line. What does that mean? It's not yet completely bullish in the short term. I think it will only become completely bullish in the short term once the price breaks out above 22.5. 22.5. Okay. FGEN still has a low risk level with a historical volatility score of, or not really low risk, but moderate risk level, because it already has, as of today, a historical volatility score of 54%. Mind you, foreign investors only registered a measly amount of 7.8 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review for FGEN. Let's remember that it closed today at 21.70, and that is closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low. Okay, now the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 21.70 all the way to 21.90. I repeat, 21.70 to 21.90. If you already have FGEN and you have a positive P&L, profit and loss, you have two options. It's either you hold your position or you top up, you add more shares. But if should you decide to add more shares, make sure that you monitor the price between 21.70 and 21.90. Should you decide to hold your position, make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is, so you're not left at the top when traders decide to do some profit-taking activity or activities. Okay? If you don't have FGEN yet, realize this: the current price of FGEN is already close. It's closer to the resistance at 22.5 than to its support at 19.43. Understand that if you're going to use this resistance and this support in calculating your reward to risk ratio, you should realize that your reward to risk ratio is, or your reward will be a lot lesser than your potential reward. I mean, your potential reward is less than your potential risk. In other words, you have a bigger risk and a lower potential reward. Okay, I think it's better understood that way. Okay, so given that realization or observation, you ask yourself, I am a relatively new trader. Can I really handle that kind of risk relative to the potential reward? If your answer is no, or even if let's say you're not sure with your answer, might as well don't jump into the idea of doing a test buy on FGEN just yet. Maybe just for now. Okay. Now, if you are an experienced trader and you can afford to take a bigger risk, then you can do a test buy within that range that I mentioned a while back. Now, for the relatively new traders, if you are not comfortable entering a new position right now because number one, MACD is still below the signal line, okay? Secondly, um, your conviction to trade FGEN is not really that high because volume is not really that uh, standout volume. Then your option then that you may want your option now is to buy on breakout. You buy on breakout, but there's a caveat to this. Not because I mean even when you see FGen touching the price at 22.5, don't rush into the idea of buying right away at 22.5. You have to reassess the situation. Take a look at the volume review again. Where is the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades parked? Where is it positioned? Is that range close to the intraday high or close to the intraday low? If it's close to the intraday, if it's closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high, then it's a signal that people may want to do some profit taking already at 22.5. But if the range that got the biggest volume, the highest number of trades is registered closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low, it could be a signal that traders still would want to trade FGen at a price higher than 22.5. So that's how you temp check. That's how you reevaluate. Okay? Not because the price hits a certain support or resistance level, don't take it as an immediate signal to buy without reevaluating the situation. Okay? I do hope that makes sense to you. Now let's take a look at ZHI. ZHI closed today at 0.3885 and the resistance is at 0.415. Support is at 0.314. ZHI is managed to recover after registering 4 green candlesticks for the past 4 trading days, and today's ascendant price came with a much stronger volume because I think it's about 200% of its 10-day volume average. And although the foreign investors' participation, it's actually I'm not going to factor in the net foreign trade because for the past 2 trading days, foreign investors only bought about roughly 5 million pesos worth of net foreign buying on ZHI. It's really insignificant, so I'm not going to factor that in. Now, perhaps you're seeing on this video that MACD is still below the signal line. It's only an indicator that it indicates that ZHI is not completely bullish yet in the short term period. Um, I would prefer to see ZHI moving above the resistance at 0.415. At that moment, I think MACD has already crossed above the signal line. So for those who would love to do the buy on breakout strategy, what you would want to see now is for the MACD to cross above the signal line, and probably that will happen once the price breaks out above 0.415. Okay, ZHI still has a moderate risk level with a historical volatility score of 75%. Let's take a look at the volume review. 0.385 the closing price is also it's actually in the middle of the intraday high and the intraday low. So the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 0.38 all the way to 0.39. My overall sentiment on ZHI is bullish. Um, it's bullish, however, I think it will just trade sideways, or it will just trade the range between 0.314 and 0.415, because there's a historical pattern to that. For since February, since maybe about the start of the third week of February, ZHI just traded the range between that support and resistance level. So you if you manage to enter a position close to 0.314, you may want to consider selling or do some profit taking close to 0.415. Okay, you may want to do some profit taking there. And if the ascent in price continues, then you can still buy and breakout, enter a new position by doing the buy and breakout strategy. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do if I had ZHI in my portfolio. If I were to trade ZHI, that's what I would do. Okay, let's say I entered a position close to 0.314. I think I'm going to sell near 0.415 just in case the price continues to go up. Then I can enter a new position right after selling my shares. At least I was able to sell at a gain. Okay, so that's how I would process it. Okay, now let's take a look at the next stock in the list. We have IMI. IMI closed at 13.30. Resistance is at 13.66. Support is at 11.70. Today's ascent and price came with a strong volume, which is, I think this is about 150% above its 10-day volume average. 10-day volume average, if not 200% higher than its 10-day volume average. So the alignment of the SMAs as well is already in a perfect bullish position, as the shorter term moving averages are all above the longer term ones. Okay. Nonetheless, the resistance at 13.66 is a historically strong resistance because it has never been broken since it was tested last February 6th, in the first week of February 2019. Okay, we will find out within this week, just in case the price will inch closer to 13.66, if this historically strong resistance will be broken out finally. So let's wait and see, hopefully within this week. Okay. MACD, I'm seeing a crossover above the MACD already, so that could be a confirmation of a buy signal, especially for those who are looking for the 10 SMA and MACD combo to become true. Okay, IMI has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 34%. Now, foreign investors did not participate that much. They only registered about 3 million pesos rather worth of net foreign selling. The range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 13.18 all the way to 13.30. I repeat, 13.18 all the way to 13.30. My overall sentiment on IMI is bullish. Okay, it's bullish. Now, here's my recommended trade setup for IMI. If the volume starts to dissipate once it draws closer to 13.66, I would recommend that you sell at 13.66. But if you see that the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low, when the price draws closer to 13.66, I would recommend that you hold your position or you add more shares and sell once your trailing stop loss is hit. Okay, that's my recommended trade setup for IMI. My overall sentiment is bullish. I think I mentioned it already a while back. Okay, now let's talk about the top 5 losers, starting with RRHI. RRHI closed today at 78.90. Support is at 77.4. Resistance, which is the previous support, is now at 83.3. Okay. Today's descent in price came with a strong volume as well because it's above the 10-day volume average. And foreign investors are also participating in the bearish sentiment on RRHI. They registered 54 million pesos worth of net foreign selling today. And they have been in a selling mode for the past 3 trading days since Friday. MACD has been in a bearish territory since the second week of February. Okay. RRHI has a low risk level with a volatility score of 35%. This support at 77.4. Okay, so this is the defense. This is the precursor to the next support near 71.4. Historically speaking, when the price hit 77.4, it bounced away. Historically speaking, take a look at what happened last June 2018. Then take a look at what happened last August 2018. But we also do not discount, I do not discount the probability of seeing the descent in price to, seeing a continuation on the descent in price, because that happened in the past as well. The bulls did not manage to hold their position, so that the drop in price just continued until it tested the support at 71.40. Okay, let's take a look at the volume review first before I drop my overall sentiment and trade setups for RRHI. Okay, 78.90 is closer to its intraday low than to its intraday high. And the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 78.90 and 79. 78.90 and 79. Okay, so that's the range that might act as an intraday support by the next trading day. My overall sentiment on RRHI remains bearish. My recommendation is that you wait for the price to draw closer to 77.4. Reevaluate the situation once the price touches that level. If the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is closer to 77.4 than to whatever intraday high it will get once it touches the 77.4 support level, my suggestion is that you adjust your waiting position further to 71.4. Okay. However, if you see that the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is registered towards near the intraday high, than closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low, then it could be a signal that RRHI traders may already want to buy the shares back on RRHI. So monitor this 77.4 level. This is a critical support level for RRHI. Okay, now let's take a look at the next stock in the list. We have DMC. DMC closed today at 11.90. It's at the brink of breaking down below its support at 11.90 itself. Okay, Should it break below 11.90, that will put 9.88 as its next support level. Resistance is at 13.83. Today's red candlestick came with a strong red volume above the 10-day volume average, and it seems that foreign investors actually participated in the bearish sentiment on DMC today as it registered a net foreign selling worth 38 million pesos. Okay. DMC still has a moderate risk level with a volatility score of 54 or 55%. I actually do not like the alignment of the moving averages of DMC. The longer term ones are above the 10-day simple moving average. I prefer to see the opposite, okay, for DMC. So there's another critical support level here as well, by the way, before it reaches 9.88, and it's somewhere near 11.15. This is a support level as well. Most recent support level before 9.88 is 11.15. Okay, so watch out for this one. It's a critical support level. If it breaks down 11.15, well, it could be an indication that DMC holders would really want to see the price lower than 11.15 then. Okay, and there's a midterm resistance as well before it hits 13.83. It's registered somewhere near 12.80, and you can adjust it as well all the way to 13 pesos per share if you'd like to. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review for DMC. DMC, remember, it closed at 11.90, which is also its intraday low. Okay, that is its intraday low. So the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is actually below 11.9. It's between. It's actually higher than 11.9, but since I saw a tall red volume bar and a red candlestick, my recommendation is that you monitor DMC below 11.90. But if it starts at a price higher than 11.90 within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, my advice is that you monitor the price between 12.04 to 12.12. I repeat, 12.04 all the way to 12.12. Okay, so my overall sentiment on DMC is bearish. Monitor the price near 11.15. Okay, if the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is registered near the closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high, when the price draws closer to 11.15, I suggest that you continue monitoring the price near 9.88. Just when that happens, okay? Those conditional clauses that I've mentioned. So that's it for DMC. Now let's take a look at CHP's chart. CHP closed today at 2.71, just a few points shy from its Monday closing at 2.85, or something like 11 points or 11 basis points or 11 centavos. 11 centavos shy from yesterday's closing. And it managed to break out already above 2.74 yesterday. Now it pulled back. It pulled back below the resistance at 2.74. I think there's not much volume. I had to zoom it in just for me to see the size of today's volume. Nonetheless, MACD remains bullish, and it still has a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 75%. It's not yet completely. While CHP is already bullish in the short-term scale, I would prefer to see the price moving closer, if not higher than 3.20, which is the intersection between the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA, by the way. I prefer to see the price higher than 3.21, for those who would want to see CHP moving in a perfect bullish position both in the short-term and long-term scales. That will only happen, I think, when the price hits 3.21 or higher. Okay? Foreign investors registered a net foreign selling worth 4 million pesos today, and for the year to date, it's a net foreign selling. See these bars here? It's a net foreign selling indeed. Okay, now let's take a look at the uh, range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. 2.71, that's the closing price, and it's also the intraday low today. So, monitor the price lower than 2.71 tomorrow. Okay, lower than 2.71. There you go for CHP. And my overall sentiment on CHP is neutral to bearish because there's still a chance for the price to rebound, to bounce away from 2.74 or 2.70. But if CHP traders already decided to treat 2.75 as a profit-taking level, then there's a possibility for the price to start going down and retest the previous support at 2.20 within this week. My suggestion, continue monitoring the price, especially if you don't have CHP yet, because once it re-enters the 2.74 to 2.21 level, once it registers uh, a lower price, a price lower than 2.70, then it could be the start of getting some confirmations that the price would really retrace near 2.20. Okay, so monitor the price for now. And if you have CHP, oh my, please make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is. I've been hearing some uh, some rumors from those who followed someone else's recommendation on CHP. For those who went long term on CHP, for those who bought CHP when it was above 3.5. Okay, I do hope you already know where your trailing stop loss is, because otherwise your buying power is just stuck on CHP instead of it making money for you. Okay, so that's it for CHP. Now let's talk about MAC. MAC closed today at 20.20. Support is at 16. Resistance is at 21 pesos per share. But I think there's a midterm support somewhere near 18.74. Okay, 18.74. The resistance at 21 was tested yesterday, Monday, but I think the bulls did not have that much power to sustain their ascent above 21. That's why the price bounced away, and it's now about to register a price lower than the position of the 10 days simple moving average. Nonetheless, you know what? This red candlestick for today did not come with a strong bearish volume. Today's volume is lower than 50% of the 10-day volume average. For me, when I see a red candlestick and the price is lower than 50% of the 10-day volume average, for me that means investors or holders of the stock of MAC are not that convinced enough, are not convinced yet that there's a reason, that there's a solid reason for them to abandon MAC. So they are not convinced yet. Meaning to say there are still a lot of people who might be holding MAC above 20.20 or closer to 21. Okay, MAC still has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 44%. MACD remains bullish. Okay, let's take a look at the volume review. MAC closed at 20.20 and that price is also its intraday low. That price also got the biggest volume and the highest, one of the highest number of trades. 39% of today's volume was registered on at 20.20, which is the intraday low as well. So given this, here's my advice. There's a possibility for MAC to start tomorrow at a price higher than 20.20. Where did I derive that sentiment? It's because of this super slim volume. Okay, so meaning to say the bears did not really attract much attention or support from sellers because not so many sellers were convinced to sell today. So there's a price. I do not discount the probability of seeing MAC tomorrow starting at a price higher than 20.20. But if the market proves me wrong, make sure that you monitor the price close to, what's the level here? 19.4. Okay, 19.4. That's my recommendation on MAC. I am neutral to bearish on MAC. Okay, so let's move on to the last stock in the list. We have PX. So Philex Mining Corporation, another mining company, it closed today at 3.67. Support is at 3.18. Resistance is at 4.01 or 4 flat. 4 flat. Okay. It's the precursor to the next resistance at 4.42 or 4.40. Today's red candlestick came with volume that's a little bit higher than its 10-day volume average. Meanwhile, understand that PX has been bearish. PX's MACD has been in a bearish position since January 22 this year. Okay, since then MACD has never touched the ground above the signal line. Okay, PX still has a low risk level with its volatility score of 40%. Foreign investors registered a net foreign selling worth 2 million pesos today. And for the year-to-date net foreign trade, let me check. I think it's net foreign selling. Net foreign selling for 2019 year-to-date on PX. Let's take a look at the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. The closing price at 3.67 is also its intraday low. So I suggest you monitor the price between 3.67 to 3.71 tomorrow. Okay, 3.67 to 3.71. Okay, now if we see a continuity on the registration of red candlesticks, my advice is that you monitor the price below near 3.4. Okay, near 3.4. Let me plot that so you can see it properly on this video. There you go, 3.4. It wasn't exact, so that's why you see 3.43, but I meant 3.4. Okay, let me fix that for you. 3.4, there you go. It's still 3.41, but anyway, 3.4. Let's round it down to 3.4. My overall sentiment on PX is bearish, and my recommendation is monitor the price between 3.67 and 3.71. Should we see a price lower than 3.67 tomorrow within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, my advice is that you monitor PX near 3.41. If the downtrend persists, then you monitor the price close to 3.18. Obviously, I'm bearish on PX. So there you go for tonight's top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. You've heard me talk about my analysis, sentiment, and recommendations for green, FDC, FGEN, ZHI, IMI, RRHI, DMC, CHP, MAC, and PX. If you have questions, feel free to post them in our private clients forum. Again, my name is JC De Guzman. Have a great day.